Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our talks with Walt as we are referencing our reading of the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We're in the Calamus section and we turn now to a little poem, "O you whom I often and silently come." One more example of the kind of strange syntax that Whitman loves to employ. By the way, notice in your table of contents of Leaves of Grass how often the "O you" will be utilized. We're familiar with it from starting from Promenade, passage 19. We've already worked with that. Pin up aching rivers. Oh, you am I. What is it to us? What the rest do or say? You're going to hear this "oh you" in native moments, in Song of Joys, in Pioneers, oh Pioneers. It's going to be used 3 times, Out of the Cradle Endlessly Rocking, Song of the Banner at Daybreak. We're going to hear it. Return of the Heroes, we're going to hear it in part 4 twice, in Old England, and Passage to India, number 2. In all of these poems, we're going to hear this at least 10 times, this "oh you" that's going to be utilized. Now the assumption is you've been with us at LearnStrong.net from the inscriptions all the way up into including the Among the Multitude poem that we just worked with Calamus, within the Calamus section. Our background information here, this is Calamus number 43, and it designates actually originally as simply X or 10 of the Roman numerical series, and it's remained unchanged through all the editions, taking its present title in 1867. Let's go ahead now and read the poem. "O you whom I often and silently come where you are, that I may be with you as I walk by your side, or sit near, or remain in the same room with you. Little you know the subtle electric fire that for your sake is playing within me." It's an interesting poem because of the way it's constructed. Notice it begins with this "oh you," and it becomes very intimate very quickly. Whom I, notice it's often and silently. The word "come" is used. I told you it's the very first word in the deathbed edition of Whitman's Leaves of Grass, and over again it gets utilized. Where you are, that I may be with you. That idea that Whitman, sometimes in these poems, Whitman wants you to come to him. Other times, he's going to go to you, right? Either way, that is to say, reading Leaves of Grass is somehow this connection that occurs. And some of you are reporting that now as we are finishing with the last 3 poems of the Calamus section, that you're starting to get this sense of the way in which these poems have this kind of strange ability to almost reach out from the page and to ask you to either touch or walk with Whitman. Notice, as I walk by your side, the immediacy of the word "as" helping, or sit near, or remain, notice that's 3, in the same room with you. Go back to that poem, Glimpse in Calamus, that same kind of thing of sitting, holding the hand. Little you know the subtle electric fire. By the way, do you remember this word "subtle" and starting from Promenade, right? This subtle, clandestine, away beyond, right? That's that echoing that he loves to do. The word "electric," of course, we're going to see this when I ebbed with the Ocean of Life. The electric self, as he will talk about it. I told you Whitman was very much into the modern science, and so we're going to hear that. Fire. We're going to see this in Leaves of Grass several times. That fire, that burning, that longing, that for your sake is playing. I told you guys, he loves this word. Remember in Song of Myself number 4, the idea of the game, right? The idea of playing, right, within me. Song of Myself, passage 13, in fact, the very phrase "playing within me" is used, right? So these echoes are all there. Well, what are we going to say as a message here? I think one of the points that Whitman is making is that artists are always driven by attraction, the longing for attraction, to be known, or maybe to be unknown, right? Finally, at 2b, I mentioned this "oh you" construction 10 times, right? This kind of, this really intimate voice gets used. "Hey you" would be our way to say it today, right? At 3a, well, what is for you the unknown lover of the great texts? That is to say, the one that you long to be with. And what texts come to mind here for you? I mean, obviously, we've got all the classic texts that come to mind. Think about Dante and Beatrice as a classic example of that, right? And of course, the other 9 "oh you" poems in Leaves of Grass comes to mind here at 3a. Finally, at 3b, who do you love? Just as a way to own a poem like this, who do you love to walk side by side with, right? And who does not know you love their electric fire? And yet maybe someday you'll be able to share that with them. I hope, maybe through Whitman's poetry even. Thank you.